there. Welcome to Studio 5, motivation, music, and laughter. We've got all three in this week's show. So let's get things started and fire up the countdown of the top 5 stories from the world of uplifting entertainment. Here's number 4 and number 5.
At number 5.
What's up, GQ? I'm Justin Bieber. Come check out my tour bus.
Bieber and his bus getting back on the road.
Here's where I set up. I sit here and I do work. When we're on the road, I sit here and I get emails done and stuff.
The pop star is resuming his Justice World Tour at the end of July. Back in June, Justin revealed to fans in an Instagram video that he had been diagnosed with Ramsay-Hunt syndrome and that half of his face was in paralysis.
I'll be using this time to just rest and relax and get back to 100% so that I can do what I was born to do.
And this rebooted tour will bring the pop star to Israel.
The Peaches singer will complete the international leg of the tour this year, taking him across Europe, South America, South Africa, Asia, the Middle East, Australia, and New Zealand.
Thank you so much for coming to check out my tour bus. I had a great day with you guys, and I'm looking forward to next time.
At number 4.
Keep your eyes open.
Actor Paul Sorvino has died. His career spanned 5 decades and included appearances in hit films, including that championship season.
Don't put too many onions in the sauce.
Goodfellas and Nixon, a season on TV's Law & Order, and more. His daughter, Oscar-winning actress Mira Sorvino, said in part, quote, "My heart is rent asunder." Paul Sorvino was 83.
We're going to begin this week with great motivation. It all starts with you. Never settle and don't die with your dreams. These are just 3 mantras from the athlete turned motivational speaker, Trent Shelton. Here's a look at him in action before we sit down to talk.
Don't be surprised if your growth makes your circle smaller. But you got 2 choices. Let it break you or let it make you. Make your dream even larger. Make your vision see farther. There's more to your path than where you're currently at.
My introduction to Trent came in reading your book, The Greatest You.
Anything that takes time to build is powerful. Great things take time.
Introduce yourself, if you don't mind, comparing who you are in comparison to the dream you had for yourself.
I'm just a guy who wants to help better people's lives. And, I never saw myself doing what I'm doing now. Introvert by nature, but, some hard times and some realizations of life led me to my purpose. And my dream was a football player. So that's what I did for probably about 30 years of my life. And it just didn't work out the way I thought it would, but it led me to what I'm doing today.
You're gonna go through failure. You're gonna go through broken relationships. You're gonna go through things in your life not working out, failed dreams. And the thing that I learned about life is certain things have to go wrong in your life for better things to go right.
For people hearing that, possibly looking at a life that's not the life that they dream for themselves, what would you say?
Yeah, sometimes, what God has called you to do is better than the life that you want to live. I always say, it's hard to accept, but sometimes you have to let go of your dreams. Even to this day, when things don't go my way, I'm still thanking God, I'm still praising God, because I know that it's leading me to a place where my life can be used most efficiently.
If I did the right things, put in the work, if I had faith, if I believe the odds were beatable even when the odds say it's impossible, then that harvest will come.
How has God surprised you most in the life you're leading right now?
Oh, man. I would have to say what I'm doing right now. Me being a speaker, me being a face to help people mentally and things like that is definitely still a surprise to me, and I pinch myself every single day.
Take me back to the first big platform and stage that you found yourself on. What happened? How'd you get there?
Yeah, it was at Oak Cliff Bible Fellowship, Dr. Tony Evans, which is an incredible pastor. I still remember like it was yesterday. It was probably like a 10-minute speech in front of probably seemed like 1 million kids, probably a few thousand kids. And I prepared the whole night before. And as soon as I stepped on that stage, my mind went blank. I had stage fright. In that moment, I said, God used me. And I knew at that moment that this is what I was supposed to do in my life. Even though there was no sign that was like, this is what you're supposed to do, but I knew that it was something that I needed to pursue, and I let go of football and I walked into what I do today.
That said, what sets you apart from other motivational speakers out there? What do you think is different about what you're sharing versus others? Or
I feel like this. I feel like we all have a gift. You know, my grandmother told me this a long time ago. We're all called to reach certain people. So other speakers are going to connect with people that I can't connect with. And the only thing I can say is that I'm me. And I think what everybody watching this is God uniquely designed you. And when you walk into who you are, not who the world wants you to be, not who your friends want you to be, not who social media is convincing you to be, but when you truly own yourself and realize that you're unique and your life has been designed for you, tailor-made, I think that's the thing that separates me as far as, you know, being able to be confident in who I am in myself and my message.
What are you hearing from people and your followers? I'm looking at some of your videos with millions upon millions of views. What are people saying to you?
A lot of people are dealing with a lot of mental health things. You know, I think that's the big thing of trying to weather this storm of life, you know, when circumstances aren't right, or, you know, when things like year 2020 hit you. So a lot of people are trying to weather that storm, and it's very hard. And then, you know, people are getting from me, protect your peace, something that I've been saying for years. And more than ever, I'm seeing a lot of people grab onto that and say, man, you know, I just want to protect my peace. And peace is this for me. You know, and I tell people all the time, peace doesn't mean that the storm doesn't exist, right? We can't stop storms in our life. We can't go outside and say, storm, stop. But peace is saying that I know the storm exists, but I also know that the storm shall pass.
When life gets difficult, it's getting around the simplicity of life that gives you peace.
I like to ask people, if you could go back in time now that you know some of what you've gone through, what would you tell young Trent with all those football dreams and aspirations? What advice would you give that little boy?
Yeah, I would just tell him to keep falling in love with progression. I would tell him that no matter what happens in your life, just know that God has a plan and a purpose for your life. And that plan is not to harm you. That plan is to give you hope in the future. And so always just trust God's word and not your circumstances, and everything will be okay.
Trust the process. Be patient. Have faith.
You can find more from Trent online, and as we shared, he's got 2 books already available, with a 3rd one coming real soon. Still ahead.
I play Jimbo, who's an experienced older samurai who has fallen from grace.
Samuel L. Jackson and an all-star cast of voices.
Defend yourself.
What am I supposed to do with a stick?
Lesson 1. It is not so important what you do as it is important that you do something.
In this new animated tale, Paws of Fury.
Sex before you marry is a bad idea.
Don't tell me there's no such thing as gun violence.
That just depends on your definition of when life begins.
Watch Dan and Dale tackle trending topics that test your faith on the next Faith Wire. Monday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel. The Global Lane takes you around the world, providing facts over fiction.
What might rising trade and geopolitical tensions mean for you on the home front?
With over 45 years of experience, award-winning journalist Gary Lane brings you the truth from a global angle.
What about the issue of immigration?
World news analysis you won't see anywhere else.
And it's all right here on the Global Lane.
Thursday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel.
At number 3.
No woman, no cry.
It's a Studio 5 first look at the long-awaited sequel to Black Panther, Wakanda Forever.
I am queen of the most powerful nation in the world, and my entire family is gone. Have I not given everything?
It's also a tribute to the late Chadwick Boseman, set to hit theaters November 11th. At number 2. The Kennedy Center has released its honorees for this year, and they include George Clooney, Gladys Knight, and Amy Grant. The singer and songwriter has recorded more than 20 albums and sold more than 30 million copies. One of the biggest is this one, recorded some 30 years ago.
what really matters of the things I have done, and what matters about what comes after this. And it's not the big things. It's not, an award on a shelf doesn't make any difference to the quality of your life or somebody else's. And to me, I just feel a hyper awareness of the gift of each other, the gift of every day.
That is number 3 and number 2 in the countdown, leaving us with only one more story to share. We'll get to it in just a little bit. Right now, we've got a new animated feature to share. Paws of Fury, The Legend of Hank is a story of an underdog, literally, on a mission to save himself from some big bad bullies. This is an all-star cast of great voices.
Why do you want to be a samurai?
I lived in a bad part of town full of bad dogs. Everybody always picked on me. I thought if I could be a samurai, it would change everything.
I'm Michael Cera. I play Hank in Paws of Fury, The Legend of Hank.
Huh? I'm Hank, and I'm the new samurai.
New samurai, huh?
Hank is a dog, and he's a very good dog. And he dreams of being helpful, really, and his big dream is to be a samurai.
Sounds like you need a mentor.
Perhaps a once great samurai who has fallen on hard times and maybe could use some help himself. But where could I find one?
I play Jimbo, an experienced older samurai who has fallen from grace and is actually the fastest sword in the world.
It's you!
Don't believe everything you read.
When Hank comes along, Hank ends up kind of sparking something in Jimbo that's been dead for a long time, and they help each other in that way.
It's a dog! He's gonna ruin everything!
Kakamucho is a town of cats, and they're in need of help, but they're not going to just accept anyone's help, and the last person who they want help from is a dog. It's a town that has prejudices against dogs.
I didn't know dogs could be samurai.
Well, they can, and Wait, why not?
Your sword's on backwards?
No, it's not, actually. Is it?
He doesn't really have any qualifications, but that's been his dream ever since he was a young puppy.
The only fact I'm interested in is that hairball of a town is ruining my magnificent view. We've got to wipe them off the map in order to make this palace absolutely perfect.
But what about the samurai that's there to protect them?
Just get rid of their samurai.
Ikachu is like a classic villain played perfectly by Ricky Gervais, who is just completely transparent in how self-serving and feckless and completely without morals he is.
I've got to make this samurai thing work. Hey, this is the training montage, isn't it?
Getting to record with Samuel L. Jackson was fascinating and very exciting and entertaining. I love the way he works. I mean, he's just been doing it for so long. He's just like a total ninja.
Don't forget to land on your feet. Pretty wacky and pretty wild and a lot of fun. Defend yourself.
What am I supposed to do with a stick?
Lesson 1. It is not so important what you do as it is important that you do something.
It just takes you to another place, which is what you want when you go see a movie in the theater, is just be transported somewhere.
You have to do something!
You're under arrest.
You wanted to be a samurai. Fun, isn't it? Now go get them. There's always a way that you can embrace the qualities and values of another group of individuals and become part of the whole. It's kind of like, figuring out that there are no differences, that all we got to do is figure out a way to live, and if everybody treats everybody the way they want to be treated, you pretty much got it going.
Fear is only in your mind.
You just feel like, we all need to just celebrate and support each other and, and embrace each other.
Time to finish this.
Paws of Fury, The Legend of Hank was scheduled for release on July 22nd, but it was moved up and it's available in theaters right now. With that, it's time for a story in pictures. Here's this week's Studio 5 Snapshot.
It's a painfully pivotal moment in America's civil rights story, and these images are the latest film to tell it. Till is a profoundly emotional movie about the true story of Mamie Till Mobley, a mother who relentlessly pursued justice for her 14-year-old son, Emmett Till, in 1955, after he was brutally lynched while visiting his cousins in Mississippi. It's a poignant journey of grief turned to action, and it shares the universal power of a mother's ability to change the world. This early look at Till is this week's Studio 5 Snapshot. Coming up. A musical first.
The more we can bring people into those moments, that is our hope for this record, and we set out to create it that way as well.
When Brian and Katie Torwalt take a seat in Studio 5.
Welcome back. You're in Studio 5, where we've got some good news from worship leaders Brian and Katie Torwalt, their first live recorded album.
Words that usher his presence and tell of the glories of heaven, the earth that still shakes at the mention. Yes, it does. I got good news.
What does it mean to hear good news in 2022?
I think that's a huge theme of this record. After the last couple of years, we've had just hearing so much not good news.
You are good, it is your nature.
We dove into the Gospels, we dove into the red letter words of the Bible. What did Jesus say? What did it look like when Jesus came and encountered people, how their life was changed and flipped upside down, and how counter to the culture of the time it was, and how does that apply to us now?
If it's true, your kingdom never ends. You're the God of generations, and I know my children will be blessed to walk with you too.
I think that Jesus is with us, the Holy Spirit is with us and comforts us in our mourning, that we don't have to go through that alone, that there will be trials, that there will be hardships in this life, but we're not alone in those things.
What's it like to be on stage, touring again, and being out and ministering with people, and their reception to this music so far?
I think it's such a fun experience to get to go lead. Honestly, just leading worship in general in a room full of people is one of our all-time favorite things. And get to go to do some of these new songs, and that for us we feel are like a breath of fresh air to lead them.
Can we sing our hearts beyond what eyes can see?
We ended up leading in Texas a few weeks ago, right around the time of that shooting, and you could really feel the heaviness. But in those nights, Katie began to share about that verse in Timothy in sound mind, and declaring those words, a sound mind for a spirit of fear. Those moments in Texas during that week felt like such profound things, and one of those moments that you're like, yes, coming together to worship, those can be healing moments for us as the body of Christ.
On my knees. Hallelujah.
those nights were so clear that like really what we have to offer people is just bringing them into the presence of God, bringing them to Jesus. Getting to do that is such a privilege that we don't take lightly at all, and it's something that we love to do. We absolutely love it and find so much joy in it when we're out.
What made you decide to do a live recording?
The live record really is a first for us. During the pandemic, I think there was a lot of worship going on in our house that we played from YouTube or wherever that was live, because we were missing that so much. And I think feeling like you were in the room worshiping with people just felt so precious during that time. And I think when we went out to make this next record, we knew that it had to be live. We wanted it to be captured as live as absolutely possible, to hopefully create that same experience for people. The more we can bring people into those moments, that is our hope for this record, and we set out to create it that way as well.
I love that. I love that. What's your hope and prayer for this project as it is now out for the world to hear?
For me, I think our hope and a prayer would be as they listen to the music or experience it on YouTube, on their TV, all those things, that they would experience a joy and a relief and a hope that there truly is good news in 22. Just like it was good news 2,000 years ago when Jesus died and rose again. Our hope is that people would experience that same relief, that same joy, that same reminder of, oh, I still have good news. Jesus is still a good news even now in this moment.
I'm holding on to faith. I'm holding on to hope.
Good News is available right now wherever you get your music. With that, we have made it to the final story in this week's countdown. Here's a look at what's finishing on top this week.
At number 1.
I am honored today to present to you the maestro himself, Mr. Kirk Franklin.
Our cameras are rolling when Kirk Franklin and Maverick City Music bring a concert to the homeless on LA's Skid Row Monday. This afternoon filled with music is also a day of service and marks the start of a massive vision and plan to uplift the people who call the streets home. Just moments away.
My point in making this video is to ask you this question. Are you being patient? Are you trusting the process?
A final motivational moment from athlete turned author Trent Shelton.
Want to be a part of a community that inspires your spiritual growth while winning prizes? The all-new MyCBN app. Connect with the community for prayer and encouragement. Track and set spiritual goals. Enjoy conversation starters with friends and family. And collect points to win prizes. The all-new MyCBN app. A great place to belong. Download the app at cbn.com/mobile.
Nutrition. Exercise. Essential oils. Weight loss, and more. It's Healthy Living with Lori Johnson.
Talk about what's in this.
Join CBN health reporter Lori Johnson to get the latest information from today's top health experts.
This is fantastic.
Find out what you need to know to live a healthier life. Watch Healthy Living Tuesday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Too often, we carry baggage from our past. You know what it's like. It affects everything and everyone in our lives. It's always there, weighing us down and keeping us from achieving true happiness. But do you know God never meant for us to be trapped in the past? you can be free of your baggage. Learn how God's forgiveness leads to changed lives and new beginnings. Call the 700 Club.
We love sharing new music on the show, and the great voice we have this week is very familiar. It is CeCe Winans, and I've Got Joy. Take a listen, and you will surely hear why this is playing in my ear.
I've got joy, 'cause I've got Jesus. He gave me beauty for ashes, turned my life around. He broke my chains, and now I dance on solid ground. For all he's done to save me, I will raise my voice. I've got Jesus, so I've got joy.
On that musical note, we are just about out of time for this edition of Studio 5, so let's take a moment and look ahead to next week's show.
Katie Nicole's In Jesus' Name topped the chart, set records, and earned her multiple award nominations.
If I'm getting this correctly, TikTok plays a role in making this famous?
Yeah, it definitely does.
We're in Music City to get a first-hand look at the incredible story behind the music.
These words, I knew they were powerful, like in my own heart. But I had no idea that it was going to have the impact that it did.
We hope you'll join us for that story and so much more next week. Before we say goodbye, we want to give the final word to our sit-down guest. Some motivation from Trent Shelton.
It's rehab time. Let's get it.
One of the things we hear from you is rehab time. What is that?
Yeah, so rehab time, it's ironic because I just tore my Achilles, so I'm actually in rehab right now as we speak. So it's tough right now, man. But, you know, when I started rehab time, it did come from a place of me playing sports. And I understood rehab is a very tough process. But rehab is also a beautiful process if you're able to have patience through the process. And so in sports, you know, a lot of people try to come back quicker than what they're supposed to come back and end up getting hurt. So it teaches you how to have patience. And if you do rehab right, oftentimes you come back stronger than you were before you got hurt. So rehab to me means putting the strength into a weakness. And that's from the physical side, but also the spiritual side, the emotional side. So when I said rehab time for me, it meant holistically, mind, body, and soul, putting the strength into weaknesses in my life so I can come back stronger.
Trent, that is a great final word for this edition of Studio 5 and for this week's look at uplifting entertainment. Until next time, make time to uplift someone around you and then come on back and see where Studio 5 takes you next week. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye, everybody.